Closet Podcast. I'm Dr. Sam, and with me, as always, is Dr. Robert. How you doing?
Hello, everyone.
How you doing?
All
I
excited
keep
in San
seeing.
Antonio.
What was that?
In San Antonio. So
Oh,
I'm
are you
very,
already there?
yeah, I'm here. That's why I'm in this lovely Airbnb. So not my usual blue background, but yeah, I'm enjoying it and get ready for a conference this week to talk more about the foundation. That the side of the shirt. Sorry. Uh, Not very good on camera. But anyway, that's what I'm here for. But we have someone else joining us today, which is great.
Yes, it's our favorite. We love having people joining us. And so today we have Brian Quinn, who's the director of marketing for Solid Gold. And I am just really excited to get into some more conversations about food and nutrition, because we're really trying to demystify this for people. This seems to be such a difficult thing. There's just so many foods available, and the more good information we can bring people, I feel like that's so valuable. So welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We've seen a lot of the same trends actually, Mark. We did a big customer survey last couple of months, and we saw exactly what you're talking about, right? So this demystification of pet foods, in specifically, particularly in the natural category, where there's just so many brands all touting different attributes of it, and that's where we think that like we've got a real good, clear messaging to help customers figure that out, because ultimately your pet's kind of like your child, right? And so making sure you're taking care of them, keeping them healthy and happy.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of information out there that is really not based in anything, and it's so much marketing. And I know you are the director of marketing, so I don't mean that in a mean way, but I just mean that a lot of times, you watch something and you're like, oh, well, maybe that's how I should be feeding my dog, or oh wait, no, I'm totally wrong, maybe I should be doing it this way. And so I'm curious to know a little bit more about Solid Gold. So kind of anything you can tell us about the brand, how you came to work there, what makes you unique.
Yeah, so I've been with Solid Gold just about 2 years now, right? And so what attracts me to it is really their clear positioning on gut health. So Solid Gold has been around 50 years. We're coming up on 50 years next year.
Oh,
Founded
nice.
by this lady and really a maverick named Sissy McGill. So she used to raise Great Danes, as the story goes, and she would take them to competitions throughout the world. And she'd go to Europe and she'd see these super healthy Great Danes and be living these long lives. And she kind of said, like, what is going on? Like, why are they so much more advanced and so much healthier than ours are here in the States? And so she came back and she realized it was a diet. And so that was really the point of origin for Solid Gold. She launched this brand really based on holistic nutrition. So a word that wasn't, as trendy then as it is now, but
Yeah.
they came up with a holistic pet food brand. And that's it. We're America's first holistic pet food brand. And again, with 50 years under our belt, we know what we're doing, and we've done it well for a long time. So laddering back to why I joined the company, that was it. Like joining this iconic brand, trying to bring it back to the grandiose relevance it had, maybe 10, 15 years ago. That's what we're looking to do. And the good news is for us, or at least for me, it's an easy sell. We still have like these best in class formulations and high nutrition, and we got this nutrient boost platform to anchor on that's really going to set us up for success going forward.
And so is it like a traditional sort of kibble? Is it cooked? Is it more like, I know holistic can mean a lot of different things. So I guess
Right.
I'm curious to know, just aside from the buzzword, what does that mean to you all?
Yeah, great question. The whole piece about holistic is that we're putting all the nutrition you need in for your pet. So it's a little bit of a preventive maintenance, right? If you're giving your pet the right nutrition that they need to thrive every day in their life, you won't need those expensive vet bills in the past, or you might help prevent or keep them healthy to prevent future issues from stemming. So that's the core of it. We've actually taken it a step further with our new Nutrient Boost platform that we have in the product. So this is made up of amino acids and superfoods. And what this does, and it's proven actually, going back to demystifying what we can believe and not, it actually helps to heal the gut of the pet. And so as you're giving your pet all these great foods and they're digesting them, more of those nutrients are actually being absorbed. So more of the good stuff going in is actually going to be to the benefit of the pet. So that's not only just in gut health, but also helps with their general immunity and overall nutrient absorption. So really good platform we've got. And we're going to start putting that in all of our products going forward, because really it's going to be the cornerstone of the brand going forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Because I think I remember talking about Nutrient Boost at the last conference I was at, and I think it's how long has it been around for?
Just about a year and a half now. Yeah. So we launched in a couple products, but now it's really coming full fledged. You can see over my shoulder, it's going to be in all of our products going forward. So not just the kibble formulas, but even our toppers and our wet food, and even our treats that we're launching right now as well. It's going to be in all of it. We I wouldn't say we stumbled on it, but I stumbled on it because I wasn't with the company when they developed it. but it is just such a powerful reason for being, and ladders right in that gut health and overall holistic nutrition because it's all natural. So it's not like we're putting a bunch of synthetics in there to help. It's a natural platform to really just help pets thrive.
Mm. So
That
can I ask, are you finding and I guess I'm curious to know a little bit more when you said it was like proven. So I'd love to kind of delve into that, like where how we're kind of saying like that it's a proven thing, because that's really helpful for people to understand.
Yeah.
But in that time, are you figuring out a certain percentage of the diet that this has to be? So for toppers and things like that, I've heard things like 20%, but what's been your experience?
Yeah, currently in the kibble, it's about a 10% ratio. We
Mm-hmm.
go a little lighter on the toppers, just because it actually starts to inhibit the product quality at some point without getting into too many details. But maybe laddering back to your proven aspect of it. So we've
Mm-hmm.
done studies where pets have been fed the product and they measure the gram weight on the way in and the gram weight on the way out. So you can figure out how gross that is.
Yeah.
But they can actually show us versus a leading competitor that more of the nutrition is actually being absorbed. So that's where you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of let's call it noise or a lot of claims out in the pet food industry. And we did a
Mm-hmm.
segmentation study again where customers said, there's just so many we don't necessarily believe them. This is where
Yeah.
you're going to see Solid Gold and really H&H, our parent company in total, really come with this proven aspect. Everything we do, the intent is to prove it out. So we take a little bit of that, or we can demystify it, like the word you used earlier, for that pet parent to really say, like, I understand it. It's easy to understand, and I believe it because I can point to the study showing that it works. So
Yeah, I
absolutely.
think that's really important because that's always been one of the barriers that I've come in contact with, with people saying like, "Oh, I'm trying this food or I'm trying that food or my breeder said this food or whatever." And half the time it's a food I've never heard of. And so what I'm left with is, okay, well, have they done any trials? Do they do any feed testing like you explained? Do they know it's bioavailable at the end of it? Because if they don't, your dog is the test. And it may end up being fine, but I'm not willing to take that chance. So it's
right.
very hard for me to recommend other people do.
And
Yeah.
good,
But go
good, good segue too. I mean, as vets, you guys are trying to do the best for your pet patients as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
we're just trying to do it on our end where we can actually have meetings like this and kind of get the word out on the things we're trying to do because we do believe in it so vehemently. Um, and so yeah, the more we can kind of do this type of stuff to help educate the vet community as well as the pet parent in total, we think it's just gonna be beneficial for everybody involved.
But yeah, I think you make a really great point about the veterinary community because getting them on board with those food products is huge because clients will come in all the time asking us, what should I feed my pet? And honestly, the RSOI brands, I haven't heard about half of them. So they'll have the research papers behind why your product is either more bioavailable or you can see that, nutrient density that changes from coming in to going out. I think that's a really important thing for veterinarians. It allows us to help stand behind things a little better too, which I think is great. So sharing that information, I'm glad you're here today to help spread the word because we love that.
Yeah.
And so where do you guys like source your stuff and where you kind of process and everything like that? Where are you guys located for all that?
Yeah, so we don't own our own facilities, so we do a lot of co-manufacturing. But the interesting thing about our diets is we do take a little bit of a non-traditional approach. So, for example, our core diet, which is Hundenflocken. So the first product that Sissy developed 50 years ago, Hundenflocken, kind of German, kind of weird. But instead of using a traditional chicken formula, we're using lamb. So you'll see that throughout our kind of nutritional portfolio. We stay away from maybe some of the traditions. We do have chicken recipes, but for our core everyday diet, it is the lamb, and for all the right reasons. Again, maybe some of the mystification in the industry, whether chicken's an allergy or not. But for the pet parents who are worried about it, we've got a great alternative for them. And then what we really do is we layer on a ton of superfoods and a lot of probiotics in our formulas, really again anchoring on that gut health. So that's our formula core and our classic line. What we've done in the nutrient boost line is we've taken that a level up, and that's where we go take that great kind of classic formula and we're adding the nutrient boost on top of it. So all that great core nutrition, but adding the nutrient boost to really help more of that nutrition be absorbed in the pet for a long, happy, healthy life.
Very cool. And then can I ask, when you guys were first formulating the diets, how did you come up with those? Because I mean, I think that's such a hard thing to take what you know of human nutrition and then turn it into like, for canines and things like that for pets.
Yeah, absolutely. What's really interesting, our parent company is called H&H Group, right? And so that stands for health and happiness. So one of the big core competencies we have going forward within their portfolio, they have an adult nutrition company and a pediatric nutrition company. And in the markets they play, they're number one. So we, as a corporate entity, we have our access to just a ton of scientists from around the globe who really specialize in pre, pro, and even postbiotics. And so from our nutritional philosophy, we're taking the best of everything we can to bring that into pet. The key, which you're probably gonna lean into here, is it work for pets? And so all the probiotics and prebiotics we're looking at, we're making sure are tested on pets, are safe for pets, and actually, most important, efficacious for pets. So that we're not just
Right.
putting frivolous, pre and probiotics into formulas for the pets, but we're really trying to leverage that more and more. And that's where that proven aspect is coming from. It's a mantra of our overall company, and we're really trying to bring that into our everyday food and diets.
Well, there's no question. There's been so much more information about how the gut biome really controls our overall health, right? I mean, that is something that I think people are really starting to understand, even just in their own health. And
All right.
more and more people are always wanting to feed their dog according to their philosophy. And so for me, I always want to be able to say, okay, well, I need to know how you want to feed your dog, because then I can help you find a food that aligns. And it's so hard when there's so many out there, and like you said, so much noise out there that I don't know. So it's really, really nice to hear that you guys are science based, because I think then you can say, all right, they understand the need to be able to prove these things and not experiment on people's dogs for
I mean, you
profit.
hit on a really interesting point there. So there's this consumer segment called the wellness warrior, right? And she treats her pet just like it's her child. And this is a person that we're actually trying to speak to, or at least market our products towards. She takes supplements, and this is part of her lifestyle. And she really wants to do the best for her pet and make sure her pet is being taken care of and living this long, healthy life as well. And it's interesting you mentioned that kind of psychographic for your patients that are bringing their pets in, right?
Mm-hmm.
That humanization of pet, it's transcending what I mean. Humanization of pet, everyone's heard for probably the last 10 to 15 years, right? It's really transcending just like what the food looks like or what it could potentially be. It's really getting into that, what's in it and how is it working and why is it nutritious for my pet. So it's graduating to a little bit more of a educated approach to nutrition and mimicking really the pet parents' lifestyle themselves. So
Yeah.
we are actively trying to come up with products for those pet parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, I have pet parents that are feeding their dogs better than what I'd eat. Like, they're eating like whole meals all the time. And I'm like, I'm getting like a microwave meal from Factor. Like, I'm just like, Jesus, you guys are just like, they're dedicated. They are on top of it. Like, I don't understand that. I don't know how they have time for it. Honestly, that's what it comes down to. Like, they're making every meal. So it's nice to have a healthy alternative that I don't have to make, because honestly, I don't have the time for it. So I'm impressed with those pet parents that do.
Well, and
But
the
that's
thing is,
what
a lot of them don't really do them in a complete and balanced way. So even though they have the best intention and they are feeding them like technically good food, it may not actually be good for the dog. And so what I like is the fact that you've kind of specifically, not, maybe some of them are like, maybe they're going and they're researching and they're getting that stuff formulated for them, but I don't even feel like just I could just come up with a food for my dog. Like, I'd really have to research
yeah.
exactly what they need.
Then you're hitting another couple key points there. It's just how busy everybody is these days, and what is that convenience factor where we can come up with products and these great foods for the pets that are really easy to serve. So we've done in Solid Gold. We've got a couple that are hitting market now. So one will be an air dried product, and so this is really going to be the ethos of the company. It's a great example for us. So air dried, it's a gently air dried over time. So what it does, it's just like beef jerky, right? It's dehydrated, keeps more nutrients in the product, also makes it super palatable for the pet. But then we're also layering that nutrient boost in. So then you're getting nutrient dense products, better absorption for the pet, but most importantly for the pet parent who's coming out of COVID times and busier than ever, easy to serve. You can literally take the bag and pour it on as a topper. It is complete and balanced, like you mentioned. So it's got the complete nutritional profile, but this is a convenient way to really give your dog or your pet all the nutrition that they need going forward. And you'll see that track through. My other favorite innovations coming out, we're launching meatballs. So same thing. They're in a pouch. They're semi-moist. They look like humanized food, but the convenience factor is really the core element of it, because you can just tear it and you can pour it in your pet's bowl. It's shelf stable, so you don't need to put it in your fridge until after you open it. And it's not chock full of preservatives either. So it's a real good, healthy way to treat your pet and make sure they're getting all that nutrition. Again, easy and convenient way for the pet parent.
So it sounds like you're touching on like every part of the need that exists among the consumer, right? So a lot of people really just want a kibble, but they want a healthy kibble. and then other people want something that looks like something that they could open up and eat themselves. And it really, it totally runs the gamut. You have to kind of reach out to all those people.
And that's one of the benefits of having the air dried and the meatballs as a topper as well. Is like if you want to go with the traditional kibble because it's so easy and the expense is relatively palatable, no pun intended. You can then take the air dried or these meatballs to put them right on top, and your pet is just going to love it. So one of the mantras of our company for Solid Gold is crave, nourish, thrive. It's kind of our ethos of how we're chasing it. The intent is let's come up with products that are so palatable, pets are going to come running to the bowl, just like a normal parent would want their kids to eat whatever they're putting in front of them. But on the back end, make it so nutritious that they're getting all the nutrients to help them live a healthy life. And that's the thrive aspect, living a healthier, happier life. So it's a 3-tiered approach to it. Food's so good, your dog's going to come running for it, but so nutritious, it's going to be beneficial. So you feel good as a pet parent. And the net result is that your pet is just going to thrive in life.
Yeah. So do you guys break them up by life stages as well then?
We have some life stage products. So in our not in the air dried and the meatballs, but in our traditional kibbles, we have puppy, we have a senior SKU. We also have small breed, large breed. So we run the gambit, more like your traditional science brands you might see on the market. We mimic those, but also keeping true to our holistic kind of nutritional profiles in them, to where we're really trying to keep best in class ingredients and that holistic approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the holistic thing is big too, because especially being in California, I hear it all the time. Everybody's like, I want more of like a holistic, and like they're like, I don't want these medications. Anything more holistic? That I'm like, sure, I'll find something. But medications,
medications can be holistic. A lot of them are, plant-based, depending
I know, right?
on the medicine.
It's a key buzzword for a lot of people, because not just a buzzword, but like a key factor for a lot of people. And even the air, drying that you guys have, that's the processing is a big thing that comes up for a lot of pet parents.
Right.
Being that it's minimally processed because it's using the air dry feature. But I haven't heard that more recently myself, but I'm not as obviously involved in the industry as you are. Is that a pretty common method of helping our food or creating pets food, or is that a newer thing that's come out in the last couple of years?
There's a couple people who've been playing in it for a couple of years. I'd say the trend is 5 to 10 years. It just hasn't proliferated quite yet. And so when we've obviously kept our eye on what we've seen in market, but the benefit and where it fits into Solid Gold is where we're really excited, because it is nutrient dense and we can layer that nutrient boost in. So as we're looking to hit on all the things we've talked about, easy for the pet parent to serve, high nutrition, really beneficial for the pet. That is like a perfect kind of ethos of where we're going. And we do think it's going to be a really good option for those pet parents looking to hit on all of this.
And just so I understand with the freeze dried, so is the food then, is it cooked first and then just worrying about bacteria and stuff like that, which we of course have to talk about because that's where recalls come in and things like that. So I'm curious, food safety, that's a big thing for me too.
Great question, but you did mention freeze dried. So this is actually an alternate. This is air dried. So it is actually fully cooked. You got to put cooked in parentheses because it's dehydrated.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really interesting because when you do talk about that freeze dried segment, you are worried about those pathogens being on, because ultimately it's freeze dried and they have to do a pretty harsh kill step in that product to make it safe to handle. The beauty on this is it's just like beef jerky. So it is cooked. Pathogens are killed because it does hit us above 160 degrees, I think is the number, right? But with that, it's not as hard pressure cooked as, say, a kibble, to where a lot of the nutrients are being broken down. So it really maintains that nutrient integrity as well as the flavor, right? I mean, let's not forget that the pets are just going to love to eat this product. Mm-hmm. And so, there's no health and safety issues with this as maybe you would see in the freeze-dried aspect.
I think it's nice to know too, because I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, the food that I was feeding is it's fine, but my dog they're not that interested in it anymore. So it is kind of nice to know that you've spent so much time with the palatability, because it really doesn't matter how many matrix you hit if your dog won't eat it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. A little bit, it was like, there's an old adage in our company, like, I want my kid to eat broccoli, but it's really tough to get him to eat broccoli unless I put cheese on it, right? So we're trying to take that same methodology, just make it nutritious for him instead of putting a bunch of, processed cheese on top of our pet food.
How my parents tricked me when I was younger, man. They're like, hey, there's cheese on this. I'm like, all right, I'll eat it now. So it works. It's a bit effective. So I get it.
And I guess just with some of the things that have come out in nutrition recently, the big, thing about grain free and stuff like that, I always have to ask, is Solid Gold grain free? What's your philosophy on that? Where are you guys on the legumes and all those things that are possibly causing problems?
Yeah, so a lot of our diets have been around for quite a while, and maybe credit to Sissy and the team before me. We have both, so we have grain and grain-free diets for those pet parents. I mean, the DCM issue, I was in the industry when that came through. Obviously, a lot of concerns from pet parents. You
Right.
both probably are more educated on the inner details of it than perhaps I am. But since COVID, we've seen a lot of those worries or concerns maybe go away. It did, from an industry perspective, it threw a curveball to everybody, because
Oh,
everybody who was
absolutely.
playing in these super premium natural categories stopped everything they were doing and started putting grains in the diets, right? So fortunately for Solid Gold, we've always had both. So if the pet parent is looking for it, they do have concerns about DCM or heart health for their pet, we've got options for them there. And if they don't, then we've got with grain options too, or without grain options as well.
Yeah. I think what it came down to was never that simple, right? And that's the problem. It wasn't just an answer of adding grains or not adding grains, but more so about your formulation and completely, right? And that there was still so much that people didn't understand. And so where the issue came in was like these boutique, kind of not around very long sort
Right.
of foods that I think, it kind of put the fear in everybody, obviously, because we didn't want to be missing anything with food. So it is helpful to know that you do have a history that came before the DCM scare and lasted on through it, so that you weren't really part of it. You know what I mean? And I think that that's an important piece to put out there for sure.
Right. And you guys must have seen it front. It's tough with a pet parent, right? Because the pet's obviously not telling them how they feel or if they have an issue. Like, it is 100% coming to the pet parent. And we hear something that prolific or prominent in the media, it's tough not to pay attention. So I'm sure you guys fielded a whole bunch of calls back and forth about how should I handle this, or what advice do you have to give?
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, again, for us, and you hit on it, we've been around for 50 years, going on 50 years now, and so our recipes were proven before DCM became an issue for anybody. So I think we withstood it pretty well.
Yeah.
So that's great, because I think a lot of parents confused, because I mean the whole reason the grain free came up in the first place is because people were having an issue with grains and like
Yeah.
gluten and all that. So like, oh well, my dog must have issues with it too. And I'm sure there are a few dogs that are affected by it. I'm sure a small population that are, but in general, it's the protein in the diet that causes dogs often to have the allergies. It's the lamb or the chicken and that's why when they have to do those diet trials, you gotta show them something like ostrich or something super weird for like 12 weeks to get them to
Or a
like
hydrolyzed diet. Yeah.
hydrolyzed diet or like something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So I think there's some confusion that resided around that issue, and unfortunately, that just translated to gluten and grain free for people. And here we are a couple of years later. So I'm glad we've corrected some of those things, because I have a cardiologist that I work with, and honestly, the number of cases in the last 3 years that they saw related to grain free issues were through the roof. So it was
Interesting.
definitely a big thing. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate you guys paying attention to that, and just trying to have options, which is I think such an important thing, because no pet's the same, just like people.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too though is like just again breaking through the noise. How do we tell them when they're looking for, they want a holistic food that is convenient, that it tastes good, but it's like I need help. So now it's like, "Oh, okay, great. This has been around a long time. We've been tested." You know what I'm saying? Like it just gives me another thing to say, look, I know about this one. Which is
Right.
really good for me. I mean, for me, I know for Robert, I'm sure you feel the same way. It's just like, phew, okay, good. I feel like we can go forward with this because it's a good, you know what I mean? It's a good, sounds like it all has all the right things that we look for in a food.
And that's a great point too. We're really just trying to find our voice, and I think we found it probably in the last 2 years, 18 months, and now we just got to find the right way to communicate it out. So this nutrient boost, again, it's brand new for us. We really believe in it, and that's going to be the anchor. It just hits everything we've talked about today. You can see that it's all stacking up in a really nice chain of things we want to be doing. The NutriBoost ladders into it, these new toppers ladder into it, and then even our parent company with the health and happiness. It's all coming together in a nice way, and that's where we want to be really relevant, but in a meaningful way. We don't want to just go throw a bunch of money out there and be loud and superficial, artificial, whatever word you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
But it is having conversations like these where we can really say, hey, look, we've done the research, we believe in this, and we really think that we've got a great product for pet parents.
Mm-hmm. Do
Yeah,
you think that that's been one of your biggest barriers? Sorry, Robert. Just to get the word out there, because that it's got to be hard to get in front of a dedicated group of people who are looking to hear what you have to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I would say, yeah, I mean, challenging in every industry. I don't think any marketer in my seat would say I've got enough communication dollars. But I also think in the past we might not have had the newness and the innovation behind what we're doing. We're really coming with cutting edge stuff. So okay, you're gonna hear me say NutriBoost another million times by the time we end. But NutriBoost is really a good platform for us. The new toppers, we're really leaning into innovation. And the interesting thing is we're tapping back into the origin of the brand. So again, Sissy back 50 years ago, launching this pet food brand, she launched a whole bunch of really innovative products. So she launched her second big product launch was actually a seaweed powder named Sea Meal. And if you might not have heard about this in your practice, but it's still out there today. So pet parents will take this, will sprinkle it on food. It's just packed with nutrients for pets. We've actually heard of pet parents, not necessarily dog and cat parents, but horse parents who buy this and actually feed it to their horses. We've also heard people, which we cannot condone, putting it in their own protein shakes in the morning as you're waking up. So, but it's that outside the box thinking and finding these really great nutritional additives or products for pet parents to make it easy and simple for them. And that's the heritage of the brand. We're just trying to recapture some of that magic and bring it back to life.
Can I ask with some of your toppers if they are they all flavored? Is that part of it? Because if, let's say, you had a dog or a cat that was on a specific prescription diet, do you have to be careful with some of those? Are there some that are okay? What's been your experience?
Yeah, so we typically go with the traditional chicken and beef. So they're just launching now. So if we look at our air dried as well as our meatballs, we have chicken option and beef options for pet parents who might be worried about the chicken allergy. As we look to proliferate, because they're just launching now, fingers crossed when pet parents adopt this and it's in every household, we'll start to proliferate into other ones. Like we've got lamb in the pipeline potentially. Turkey's another one we could be looking at. And then even on the meatball side, we can look at fish options. So we are really looking for the gambit for whatever pet parent, whatever variety they want to serve their pet to address those needs.
Nice. And how long is your meatball one shelf stable for?
I need to look. It's got to be at least 18 months because we don't do any products shorter than 18 months. But I don't know if it's longer than that. But at least a year and a half.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have to ask: do you have any cats or dogs?
I do. I got two little Frenchies who've been barking in the background. I'm hoping you haven't heard them.
I have not, and I love Frenchies.
Yeah, little Rocco and Lola. My two pets running around, and they're just the best. They're best of both worlds. They can be a super big pain, and they can be super adorable at the same time. So.
Yeah, I mean they're Frenchies, so yeah,
exactly.
They're all personality.
Do their own thing, of course. Yeah.
So is that really like because Frenchies are very needy breeds.
Yeah.
So is that kind of what got you interested in like into being in a nutrition company, or did it just kind of happen that you got this job and then you were like, oh wow, this is gonna help my dogs?
No, well, a little bit of both. I actually used to have a French Mastiff too, so the Mighty was the best. So the Mighty Quinn was her name. She was just the best. But we had the Mighty, and she was like my best friend, and so we'd hang out. And then we got a little Rocco to kind of play with the Mighty. She got older in age, and of course we need a third. We need another Frenchie. The Mighty has since passed, but with them, they are definitely my product testers. So Rocco is super sensitive diet. He's just a handful altogether. But so I need to be very careful what I feed him. So again, that's where the chicken, the beef comes in, because we think he's got a chicken allergy, so we're really careful about it. So I give him a lot of the beef samplers, but they're quite happy when they see me rummaging around my cabinets behind me because I'm pulling something out and they know they're going to get it. So
yeah, that's really good. And the other thing with Frenchies too, they do like to be overweight, so hopefully it's helped them to not be.
That's the toughest part, actually. We get boxes of samples sometimes, and I'm like, I can't give you all this, and they just those big puppy eyes staring up at me like I'm a bad pet parent.
They're like, you can give it to us, it's fine.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Does Solid Gold, just for some owners that are asking, actually, I don't know myself, do you guys have a prescription line as well? I don't think so, but do you guys? Not that you do.
Not. No, not as of yet. Prescription is a tough one to break into. I think that you guys probably know there's, with those big three folks that are playing in that, there's quite a big entity behind the vet side. So nothing we've entered into yet. We think that the holistic approach for us, at least just on the front end, is better than, at least for now, a better approach for the brand and a better place to play.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think eventually people would appreciate a holistic prescription diet, because I do think that there are a lot of people that still have their philosophy on food, but then are put in a situation where they don't have a choice anymore.
Yeah.
So just, I mean, that's a big undertaking. I'm aware.
No, but it's interesting because we're dabbling somewhere close to without getting into full prescription. We are looking at some really targeted pre and pro and postbiotics for targeted needs. So healthy weight would be the first one in sensitive stomach. And so again, capitalizing on these resources we have globally, particularly in the human space, where there's some probiotics that do a really nice job about settling an upset stomach, or even helping to reduce visceral fat on pets. So we're in the trial stage on some of this stuff, but this is where, if we're going to do something like that, that proven aspect is going to have to be full-fledged. So we're talking about doing studies so we can go to folks like yourself and be like, this is why this product will work, and have the actual data to back it up.
Yeah.
So in the pipeline.
It is, but the thing too, it's so important because I even just have people who always want a pill when their dog gets diarrhea. And it's been this big paradigm shift. We're just like, let's just change like the fiber content and give some probiotics and like give it a second, like let the gut heal. I don't want to give you medicine to just wipe out their whole biome, because we'll be back here in a month.
Exactly right.
But
and we've got some products there too. We've got this heritage product, which is relaunching. It's called Green Cow. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but during COVID, manufacturing issues were rampant, right? You couldn't get wet food, and this one went away. But this is a heritage product that we've had in the portfolio for, I think, almost 20 years. But for picky eaters, much like what we were talking about, if my pet's got upset stomach, he doesn't want to eat, this is made from green tripe and it's super palatable. For pets, let's be clear.
Yes, I was going to say tripe's only palatable to pets.
But again, this is us tapping back in the equity of the brand, that the storied history we've had in the past. This product will be launching now, in fact, and so it's just another way for us to get back and help that pet parent that has that need, that upset stomach or just won't eat, that we've got something to help, again, layering in the holistic piece of it, something that's natural that will really just help solve that issue for the pet parent.
Oh yeah, we're really, really trying to kind of refocus people's attention to, hey, let's not just pop a pill for this. Let's maybe fix the gut.
and we're hearing that for pet parents too. We did some focus group work with a whole bunch of pet parents, and the amount of times I heard a pet parent say microbiome, I was shocked. It must have come up in every single group at least 2 or 3 times. And I was like, wow, like this is really taking a step from the human world and into pet, and pet parents are becoming more and more like interested in understanding of how it does affect them and that upset stomach that they might have.
Absolutely. And I think it's just funny the disassociation people have with themselves and their pets when it comes to like GI issues, because it's like their dog will have diarrhea once, and to Sam's point, and I'm like, have you been to Taco Bell? Like, has it happened to you? I was like seriously, I was like, they're like, I need to run to the hospital. I'm like, try fiber, try probiotics. Like, it's like, come on, guys. So it's just funny. So I think it's part of the problem, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, he's also an emergency vet, so he's got like cars that have just, I mean, dogs have just been hit by a car, and then he's like, I have diarrhea. Those two things are not the same. So I do general practice, so I'm constantly dealing with preventative and conversations about the bowel movements and things like that. That's a very big part of my life.
I appreciate you for it, Sam. Don't worry.
Hey, I'm trying. I try to keep people away from having to go to see Robert. That's my goal.
Funny.
And hopefully Solid Gold can keep them out of both our places. So
exactly.
I guess there's a way, how to make people aware, how to, like, obviously it's, you guys are in stores. There's a certain stores that you guys are in, or particular, can they buy directly from your website? Like, how do people, they're interested more in about Solid Gold, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, the good news is with all this exciting stuff we're working on, we've gotten a lot more distribution. So you can actually find us in the mass channel. We're at Walmart, soon to be at Target as well. The core for us, of course, is the indie channel. That's where we kind of made our bones, and we got a real strong kind of foothold in the pet specialty stores, your PetSmart, your Petco's as well. So a lot of distribution there again, and a lot of good news with these retailers as well.
Wonderful. And can people get stuff off your website as well?
They can, of course, yeah.
Do you want to share your website?
Oh yeah, so it's solidgoldpet.com.
Perfect. That is very easy. Solidgoldpet.com. Yeah, exactly. And people can always email us at podcast@myBalto if they ever have any questions. We can always bring them back to you guys if you're willing to answer questions people have. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming and sharing everything, about solid gold, because I feel like I've learned a lot today, and I really appreciate it. That's really, really wonderful of you to come and talk to us.
Well, thanks for having me. I love talking about this stuff if you can't tell. And yeah, it's just a fascinating industry, and I'm really stoked where solid gold is going in the future. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. No, you can tell when people are like genuinely interested in what they're doing. It is very apparent, and it does seem like very genuine from you. So we do really appreciate the time that you spent with us.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. This has been the Pause It Podcast, and we'll talk to you soon.